you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
Bringing you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Diego Dario, and in tonight's game plan, Coach Willie Wilson joins us to break down his picks for the 2022 NBA All-Star Game reserves.
We'll also preview the top players to watch in the upcoming matchup of our national team against South Korea in the AFC Women's Asian Cup. And we'll get more stories from the courtside from the UP Fighting Maroons' very own Yani Mayo and hoop star Noah Webb. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
And as we are nearing the 2022 NBA All-Star festivities, it's time for us to break down our picks for the All-Star Game reserves. Joining us tonight for our discussion is four-time UAAP champion, Coach Willie Wilson. Coach, welcome back to the game.
Hey,
Hi,
Coach, did you
Coach.
hear us?
Can
All
you
right,
hear
so
us,
Coach
Coach?
Willie's having a hard time hearing us at the
And I
moment.
can't, I can't. Can you guys hear me?
We
Yep,
can hear
yep.
you just a bit, but if you can't hear us, feel free to reconnect. So anyway,
Mhm.
Jegs, obviously all stars are coming right up. The reserves are yet to be announced. Coach Will is going to come in with his picks. I have no idea what's coming, but then when you look at the reserves, do you feel that this is I guess, a landmark in terms of these players' careers, especially the first time ones?
Hey, Coach. Can you hear us, Coach? Sounds
Are you
better.
guys? Oh yeah. Perfect. My bad.
All right,
All
all
right,
right,
all
sounds
right,
good. All
Coach.
Just
right,
jump
Jegs, get
in.
us going.
So let's go back to the topic at hand here, Coach. You had a list of the East and West reserves. Just before we go to that list, though, I just want to know how was the decision making process here? Like, did winning come to play when you were making a decision, or was it purely like individual stats?
Well, you know what? I added a little bit of both. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I look at the individual stats of the players, and then I go back and I look at their team record. Now, I make some exceptions with regards to my list team on team stats and as well as what the team's record is. But
Yeah.
for the most part, the teams with the highest records, those are the players that I really looked at.
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
So winning. Yep.
yeah, so you gotta deserve it based on your record. Also, you just can't put up empty
Right.
numbers, empty calories, right? So let's go through
Exactly.
your not your reserves first for the East. Just so you know, Coach, I haven't seen this list before, so
Mm-hmm.
every reaction is gonna be real. And all right, so Zach LaVine, James Harden, Jarrett Allen, wow, Jimmy Butler, Jason
There
Tatum,
you
LaMelo
go.
Ball, and Domantas Sabonis. All right, so a few interesting names there. Um, Wow. Okay. First of all, the one to Sabonis, it feels like he's already an institution in the All Stars. Like he has
Yeah.
to be there for the East. Now, for those who are not too familiar with Sabonis because of the fact that he's not from a flashy franchise, what's your argument for him, Coach?
All right. So, when I look at Sabonis and I look at the Pacers, you look at their record, it's not good. All right.
Yeah.
But then I look at the entire body of work. The guy has 5 triple doubles. The guy had a 25 rebound triple double game. You can't deny the improvement in his game. He's averaging 19 points, almost 12 rebounds, almost five assists per game. He's the total package out there, and I just have an affinity for big men that can handle the ball, distribute it around to all his teammates, and just control the game. So, I mean, I may be a little biased right there, but I gotta have him.
I would agree with you, Coach. Domantas has also been working on his outside game. He's been shooting a lot of 3 pointers this season. But let's talk about the off guards, Coach. What makes Zach LaVine and James Harden like a shoe in here for the Eastern Conference?
All right, so this is where I go back to team record. Now the
Yeah.
Bulls
Mhm.
being number 2 in the East, they gotta have representation in the All Star game. So you got DeRozan as your starter. You got to have the second best player as well on the All Star team, and I mean the stats speak for themselves. 25 points per game, 4.8 assists, 4.3 rebounds, or 4.8 rebounds and 4.3 assists. The numbers speak for themselves, and he's super efficient. I love the
Well,
way he finishes on the break, and he's perfect for the All Star game. You're going to see a bunch of dunks from this guy.
Oh no, I agree 100%. But another name here before we move on to the West that I'm really curious about is, of
I
course,
knew
we
you were
picked
gonna
out.
ask this, pal.
Who am I asking? Go ahead.
Are
You
you
can.
gonna ask about Jarrett Allen from
Yes,
the
yes.
Cavs? All right.
Because of all the Cavs out there, I Jared Allen. I think he deserves it. But then there's always an argument for some of the off guards that they got, Coach.
Well, you know what? All right, if I'm talking about Jared Allen, this guy's the anchor of this team's
That's
defense.
facts.
All right. Now, if we can't just focus on offense, there you got to have some type of defense in the All-Star game. I know that's an unpopular statement to make, but they're number 3 in NBA team defense, and this guy's averaging almost 2 blocks a game. So I add that to the 11 rebounds. He's got to be on there. I think he's the best player on his team. And the stats may not always say it because you got Darius Garland there scoring points and passing the ball around, but it's got to be Jared Allen. He's the most consistent player on this team.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
he's definitely the anchor of that Cavs defense. But I'm a big guard fan, so Darius Garland out there, come on, coach. All right, we move on to the Western Conference though. You move on to the Western
All
Conference.
right.
Here's your list, coach. You've got the usual players right here. Any standouts here, pal?
Okay, so Booker Doncic, Carl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, and Anthony Edwards. Yeah, no, there are a couple of standouts here. Okay, so where do I start really? Look, okay, first of all, the Jazz fan in me is happy that they have Gobert there because I honestly think he's
Okay.
having a very underrated
All right.
season. But
Bring it.
I
Bring
want
it.
to talk about Anthony Edwards too.
I
Um,
knew it.
I mean, sorry, I mean like Anthony. I'm not even bring up guys that you missed, but then why Anthony Edwards?
All right. All right. All right. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards. Okay.
Okay.
If not for Anthony Edwards, I would throw in Donovan Mitchell. All right.
Mhm.
There
But
you go.
I'm gonna be a little bit, fansy right now. All right.
Mhm.
Who's had the better dunks this year? All right. And if we're talking about stats being virtually identical between him and Donovan Mitchell, I'm
Mhm.
gonna go to the intangibles. And if we're talking about all-star game intangibles, we're talking about exciting dunks. Now I know Donovan Mitchell can dunk the ball and he's very athletic, but come on now.
Ah.
Anthony Edwards, and he's gonna be in the dunk contest.
Oh,
I gotta throw him in there.
All
all
right,
right, all
coach.
right.
Good thing you mentioned Donovan Mitchell because the Jazz fan in Pau was really waiting for Donovan Mitchell to
I'm
be
waiting
said
for
in
an
this show.
opening really to
Yep.
Hey,
start
yeah,
happening.
and a little bird told me that you were a Jazz fan, so I just,
Yeah.
I wanted to see a little reaction out of you.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, like you knew who I want there instead of Anthony
Yeah,
Edwards.
yeah,
Then,
yeah. I know, I
Jakes,
know.
which name pops out to you there?
I have one question, coach. I know you're a huge LA fan.
Yes,
Anthony
sir.
Davis is on the list.
All
I'm
right, all
gonna
right,
give
all
you
right.
the stage here to explain yourself, coach.
All right, all right. So, Anthony Davis, am I extremely happy with his performance this year? No, I am not.
Mhm.
Obviously not. Compared to where he was at in the bubble, I mean, this is a different version of Anthony Davis. But why does he make it? He makes it by virgin of injury. You know, who else can you get on there? Kawhi Leonard is out. Paul George is out. Damian Lillard is out. Draymond Green, I can't put Draymond Green with. He's averaging 8, 8, and 8. I just can't. So by virtue of all of these other players being injured, he makes
Mhm.
it.
I don't know, coach. I gotta say, I think Draymond Green. You talk about being an important player. You made that argument
Yeah,
for Jared
yeah.
Allen, right?
I
I mean,
did. I
I
did.
could make the same thing for Draymond
Yeah.
Green and the Warriors.
Yeah. But stats though, look at the stats though. 8, 8, and
Yeah.
8. And I elevated that. I inflated that. And we're talking about Jared Allen. He's averaging 6 and 11, 16 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, I see that. All right, coach, amongst everyone in the East and in the West, was there a guy in particular you felt was always on the bubble, but you just couldn't sneak him in?
I want to say Fred VanVleet.
Ah, that's a
Ooh.
good pick.
On the East. This guy's having career numbers across the board: points, assists. Toronto's in the running to make the playoffs, but just by virtue of I got to have Lamelo Ball on there,
Yeah,
he couldn't make it. He
Entertainment
couldn't
wise,
make it.
yep. Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
I know, I
yeah,
know, I
yeah.
know, I know. You guys are going to argue Lamelo Ball. Come on now. You saw that
No,
between
no,
the legs lob.
he got to be there. He's got to be
He
there. It's
has
He's
to
there
be
for
there.
gotta be there.
entertainment and for the
There's
fans.
gonna be a
Yeah.
different All-Star game with him
Look,
there.
look
Exactly right.
for those basketball purists out there, you're gonna have Jared Allen and Rudy Gobert going at each other, so that's okay. Everything else will all be flash.
Right,
Coach,
right.
thank you very much for joining us. It was really fun. We can't wait to have you again soon, and hopefully, we'll do this again in person next time, and maybe throw some stuff at each other. You never know what'll happen.
Oh man,
Thanks,
hey,
coach.
hey, hey, hey! I got
I'm
something
Oh, there
there.
ready.
you
There
go.
you
I'm
go. There
ready.
you go. There you go.
Hey guys, let's take it
All
easy
right,
right here,
coach.
coach.
All right, thanks, coach.
All right, all right. Peace. Stay safe.
Okay, so after the break, we'll list down the top players to watch in the upcoming matchup for our Philippine national team against South Korea in the AFC Women's Asian Cup. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Hello, everyone watching over on Facebook Live. And thank you very much for joining us. I was Coach Willie Wilson, ready to throw stuff at us.
Yep,
And
there were
buti na lang, we
papers
had something
thrown.
to reply with. Dex, your thoughts on his takes?
Well, there were awesome takes, good takes. There were surprising takes, but I think he was able to answer properly. Like he was able to defend those picks. So,
Yeah,
but a lot
I
of
was
a
also
lot
going
of
to say that it's a very homer pick is Anthony Davis pick.
yeah, I know. That's why I said like he's a huge Laker fan, so there's some bias in there. That's for sure.
I agree. Nothing you can do about that. But of course, we love Coach Willie. Can't wait to have
Yep,
him on studio. Kasi umiiba talaga yung dynamic kapag in
I
studio.
know. Yeah, that's true.
But of course, up next we have Marielle Benitez. The real I like she is actually one of the most. She has one of the most appearances for the national team. So it's really great to have her here, especially her expertise talk about the our women's team that's been making waves all over the world, making the FIFA World Cup. So we'll preview their semifinal matchup in just a bit. And grabe, mahaba pala yung commercial break natin. So
Oh,
good thing
damn.
that people are watching. Oo.
Just
Kasi
to give
mahaba yung
us, just
commercial
to give
break
the
natin
fans,
kasi marami
Paul,
nanonood eh. Ha?
just to give
Sorry?
the fans, a sneak peek who Coach
Mm,
Mariel is. She's a legend in Philippine football, right?
sobra.
Yeah,
I mean, like Coach Mariel, if you talk about women's football back in the day, it will always be her name coming up
mm-hmm.
in terms of national team, in terms of who are the best players. So yeah, and the funny thing is she can hear us right now, but she's just blushing on the side. So at least makita niyo mamaya, natural yung
Yeah.
blush niya when she's on air. Oo. Dala ng mga praise and compliments. Okay, so Coach Mariel coming up right now for the AFC Women's Asian Cup preview for the semifinals, Philippines against South Korea. Jegs, just for this body, no finger hearts allowed because we're partisan for the Philippines.
Okay, got it.
And Koreano yata yung mga finger heart kaya wag muna.
Yung
So,
mga fans, no finger hearts muna. Sorry, guys.
no finger hearts for the next few minutes. All right. So when we return, Mariel Benitez joins us. Last week, the Philippine women's national football team made history after qualifying for the FIFA Women's World Cup for the first time ever. Tomorrow, they look to make history again in the AFC Women's Asian Cup semifinals. They will take on South Korea at 4 p.m. Philippine time. That'll be live on One Sports and One Sports Plus on Signal and Signal HD. Now, joining us tonight to break down the upcoming matchup between the Philippines and South Korea is a former captain of the national team and my partner on the panel, football analyst Marielle Benitez. Marielle, how are you? I'm assuming you heard us talk about you during the break, and we only
Hi,
said
Coach.
great things about you.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for all of those wonderful things. But syempre, ang excitement ko talaga is for the match tomorrow to see how far we can push our standards, di ba? Ando naman
Mhm.
tayo, kita dun sa game the other day and talagang walang tulog, the adrenaline after that win and booking that slot for the Women's World Cup.
Well, it's been fantastic, and ako personally, Mariel, I slept at 7 a.m. After that, and talagang you couldn't sleep. But then, now that we had time to process everything, and you look back at it, and you look at everything from medyo taking a step back, how would you rate yung performance natin against Chinese Taipei?
Well, like what we were saying, it could have been anyone's ball game. I think the girls played terrific. The mindset was there. They really wanted to win that game, and it showed all the way to sudden death. And I think if there was a match to leave everything on the pitch, that was that match. And it also makes me think now, how fit or healthy are we coming into this semifinal match against Korea? Kasi baka naubos din natin lahat-lahat nung laro for that quarterfinal game.
Mhm.
Yes, coach. Now the next challenge is tomorrow against, as we mentioned, Korea Republic. I just want to know, like, in terms of your perspective as a coach, as a former national team, how much of a challenge will it be, after making history, and moving on to the next game? How much of a challenge is that for the team? You also work on mental preparation for some of the athletes as well.
Of course. I mean, coming into the semifinal, it will be another first for the Philippine team and playing against South Korea na sanay na makapasok ng semifinals. But Korea also hasn't been to the final. So it is also something for them to actually win tomorrow's game. So I think for the mindset, we've ticked off what we were really dreaming, and our mission was really to book for the Women's World Cup. I think the challenge now for the coaching staff is how do you get the girls back on the ground and
Yeah.
focus in preparing and winning or doing really well against a very experienced team against Korea. So I think yun yung challenge
Mhm.
for the coaches.
Mariel, we were talking a bit about this Korean team. So this Korean team is definitely the favored team here in this particular matchup. But let's look at some of the key names that actually you gave us, and the three of them are Kinley Casada, Riley Bugay, and Haley Long. Interesting that you picked two defensive players rather, in Bugay and Haley Long. How do you see the three of them really shining for the Philippines?
Okay, well, I chose the three. I think we can compare tomorrow's match with maybe their match against Australia with a team that is very experienced, will be probably pressing and trying to create all their scoring opportunities, while we would probably be more conservative and more defensive. So Quinley Quesada, because syempre for you to also win a match, you need someone to score. And I've singled out Quinley Quesada because she somehow finds her way at the right position at the right time. We saw that when she scored that goal in the quarterfinal.
Mhm.
So you will still need her to create those attacks for us. And we really have to capitalize on counter attacks. Riley Bugay, on the other hand, has been an anchor on midfield. So in Australia, binaba siya ni Coach Allen as a central defender when Haley was being reserved for the last match. So you can really count on her defensively and also start the attack from our midfield. Haley Long has been solid, consistently solid in her performances throughout the tournament. I'm just hoping that she's fit. Diba nakita natin, nabugbog siya, nabagsakan
Yeah.
yung tuhod niya last game. So I'm hoping she's fit because her leadership and the way she organizes our defense is needed for us to succeed and really play well as a team together in tomorrow's match.
All right, coach. You also mentioned the starting lineup, the starting nine against Korea Republic, your projected starting nine. We have it actually here: Serena Bolden, McDaniel, Quezada, Miklat, and the defenders and the goalkeepers. Pau, anything that stands out here for you since you guys covered it
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, no, actually, so when you mean the starting nine, the nine apart from the three that was mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have this starting 11, I actually want to ask you, Marielle. So you actually think si Katrina Gilliu, who is one of our best forward players, forward moving players, is going to be more defensive based? You put her here, you listed her as a defender here, Marielle.
Actually, I put her as a midfielder, but with the way the team is set up, you have
Yeah.
the two central midfielders and the wingers coming in. So parang silang nakabox
Okay.
sa gitna. And you really
Okay.
have some of their players playing wild or playing wide, or when they play inner, you see Harrison and Madarang flying the flanks. Okay,
Yes.
so I projected this starting lineup thinking, we'll go out and really try to win it. And I think this is the starting lineup we had in the quarterfinal as the strongest combination for our starting lineup. The difference may be coming into tomorrow's match. We don't know yet if we will have players who are really knocked up. They won't be. We have to
Yeah.
see who can bounce back and be healthy to start the game. I think a surprise would be having maybe Malia Cesar start on defense. It would be great to see Sara Castañeda start and Carly Freeles start the same way they started against Australia. But again, if you want to start out strong with a mindset, I think this would be the lineup.
Alam mo, na-excite na ako, Marielle, to cover this with you. Again, you can catch Marielle and I tomorrow as we watch the Philippines versus the Korean Republic at 4 p.m. on One Sports and on One Sports Plus. That is live. Diego, manood ka. I'll know if
Yep,
you don't
for
watch.
sure.
I'll know
I'll
if you don't
stay up
watch.
for that one.
Okay. It's at 4 p.m. You're going to be up.
4 o'clock.
You're
Oh,
going to
okay,
be
okay. It's
up.
not like the last one. It's not like the last one. All right.
All right. Sige. Thanks again, Marielle. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, coach.
All right. Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. When we return, we'll get more stories from the courtside from the UP Fighting Maroons' very own Yani Mayo and hoop star Noah Webb. Keep it here. You're watching the game.
Welcome back. You're watching Rosario. Now imagine you're an athlete playing your heart out in the UAAP. You look at everyone in the team. It's not just there's also the courtside reporters out there telling the stories of each and every effort that you make. Now tonight we'll hear more stories from the courtside as we listen to the friendship of Yani Mayo and Noah Webb from UP. Yani, Noah, welcome to the game. Can I just say first of all, Yani, We now know how you feel about being a courtside reporter because you vlog about it too, and I encourage everyone to check
Yeah.
out her social media
I saw
pages.
that too. Yep.
Oo, pero
Thank
mauna muna
you.
tayo kay Noah because Noah, if I'm not mistaken, you're in a bubble, you're getting ready, you're hyped for the return for the UAP. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Uh, it's a different process. Like, it's really interesting to sort of step back and see the team going through it. Of course, every coach and every team has their own approach to it, but I would say that this training bubble is really it's like a teaser of the season to come.
Yep, that's for sure. I'm sure all the fans are waiting for that too. But now, of course, we go to the other side. With its return, courtside auditions are also up. So let's talk about the courtsides. What were your first impressions of each other? Let's say you, Yanni. Do you remember the first time that you met Noah?
Oh, okay. Okay, first impressions. When I on the spot talaga. Pero I think my first impression when I first met Noah was he's a really warm person because I feel like he was one of the first people who accepted me into the team and made sure that I was part of the family and I was getting reports. So thank you, Noah, for all of the help.
Well,
Naka-jacket din ako nun, kaya warm.
okay.
Ah.
Okay, Noah,
You
okay.
see, this is why I had to ask that. We had to ask that question because meeting Noah and I personally knows a few of the webs. It's always fun. Pero Yani, one of the big questions that we always ask courtside reporters: how hard or how easy is it finding ways to earn yung trust ng team because they do have to trust you to be able to talk to you the way that they do.
I think in my case, I felt like it was a bit of a challenge to get the trust of the team because the UP team at the time had a lot of personalities in general, and it. I think the most part, what I try to do in my end is to show up every day, to go to their practices, to go to their bondings, to show them that I'm committed to doing this job and that I'm committed to telling all of their stories in a very truthful and just way.
All right, so let's go on to the other side naman. Noah, we were teammates for 2 to 3 years, and courtside reporters are really part of the family. You know that, I know that. Personally, I know that. No, how important is it to say the story, to tell the story of our team, our struggles, the ups and downs of the team to Yani because she's basically the connection, basically the messenger for us to the fans.
Um, Very important. I think that the job that the court sides do, not only does it um, pull in more fans, it sort of builds the character of who the team will be that season. You know, who are the players on the stage, and that's up to the courtside reporter. And that's why I think that it's obvious that it, the relationship between the courtside reporter and everyone on the team and the coaches is very uh, to exaggerate a bit. I'd say sacred. I think that it's also good when the courtside reporters it's good when the team and the coaches forget that the
Yeah.
courtside reporter is there, so that you know the courtside really gets the full um, experience and gets to really distill it in their own words.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I have lost count of how many courtside reporters I've seen cry on the side alongside the team after losses or celebrate with them after big wins. So I'm sure all of that does come into play there. I wish we could have you guys for a lot longer, but Yani, before we go, I want to ask you, what is the your main advice? I know you've given advice already on your social media, but then
Yep.
now that you have distilled it, and now that you can really talk about it very simply, what's your one piece of advice?
I think my one piece of advice for courtside reporters or people who want to get in is to really be yourself. And I think that's such a vague kind of thing to say, but you put in the color in your courtside reporter journey. You are the one who creates the stories, and it's so beautiful when you do it as yourself, or when you enjoy the stories that you bring out. So I feel like being a courtside reporter is a reflection of who you are as a person, your values, the foundation that you have, and it really helps. It allows you to get to know yourself more along the way. So good luck to everyone.
Very well said, Yani. Again, for those who want to apply to become a courtside reporter, you can check our social media accounts. And of course, the deadline of submission is on Feb 6th. So send them in now. Noah, Yani,
Pwede ba
thank you
ako?
very much. Thank you very much for your
Pwede ba ako
stories.
mag-courtside?
I think you have a different career path, Noah. Okay, stick there.
Maybe
All right,
after you
guys. Thank you
retire.
very much.
Kada sub punta ako sa ano.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having me, Paul.
guys.
And thank you guys for joining us. I'm Diego Dario.
And I'm Paolo de Rosario. This has been The Game.